Hello friends of natural history, Bob Ellis here bringing you another episode of Notes from the Field. As you can see behind me, I'm in the full glory of an autumnal foliage on West Clear Creek up in the wilderness area, which is in the Coconino National Forest, which is kind of right in the middle of the Mogollon Highlands ecoregion. And the reason that I came here today was to kind of bask in the glory of all this beauty and share that with you. But I also wanted to share with you some species that are less commonly seen because of their growth form, for one, and then for most part they're just hidden until the autumn comes, and then they adopt the autumnal foliage of very colorful nature and become obvious, and you might see them around and have questions about what they are. So I thought today I'd just take a moment to identify 3 different species that are vines and share with you a little bit of information about them. The first species that I wanted to focus on is this plant that's right in front of me. You can see it's a bright red, and this plant might go unnoticed until the fall, and then whenever it turns red we seem to notice it. This plant in the rocks can be found in a number of locations, including climbing trees or climbing walls, and typically found in canyons where they have access to moisture. So the common name for this plant is Virginia creeper. Trouble with common names is that they can be easily confused between species. And so just so that you know, there are 2 species of Parthenocessus in the Mogollon Highlands. This one is Parthenocessus vitaceae. There's another species, Parthenocessus quinquefolia, and the difference between the 2 is really subtle. However, this is a plant that you might not see until the fall comes, and then it's in this kind of bright red color, and it becomes noticeable. Another plant that becomes much more obvious in the fall is a plant that you hopefully already know by now, and that's the plant in front of me. While most of this is still green, you can see some of this poison ivy is sort of turning red. There's a red one there and a couple of red ones around in this patch. And there's a couple of species of poison ivy in Arizona. This one is Toxicodendron rydbergii, and there's also Toxicodendron radicans. And it's interesting, Toxicodendron means poison tree, and in this case the species epithet rydbergii is an honorific for a botanist from long ago. And the characteristics of this plant that most people are pretty familiar with are those 3 leaves. Both species are such. In the case of separating these 2 out while you're in the field, the radicans has a much glossier, shiny kind of leaf when compared to the rydbergii. So this is our second vine of interest today. So here we are with another species that I wanted to introduce you to. And many of you have seen vines like this growing in the forest. This vine in particular is a grapevine, and its scientific name is Vitis arizonica, Arizona grape, and it's in the grape family. The thing to know about this plant, as well as all vines, is that technically the 3 plants that I've shown you are really lianas, and the difference between a vine and a liana is really simple. A liana is a type of vine that has woody growth, and as you can see with this grapevine, it is woody, whereas there are some vines that are not. They don't have that kind of growth. And many people don't recognize the importance of vines in streamside or forest communities, especially in tropical environments. And you can imagine that whenever it comes to biomass, especially in those tropical environments, vines can represent a significant amount of the biomass in a forest. They have all kinds of relationships and effects in a forest. For example, vines frequently are deleterious to the vegetation that they're growing on. In this case, it's a walnut tree, Arizona walnut. And this vine is competing for resources, moisture in particular. But where the vine can become deleterious to the tree that is growing on is whenever it covers up the leaves of the tree, thereby robbing the tree of photosynthate or food. And so the vines can become so heavy that whenever there's a snow event, that the snow combined with the vine will pull the tree down. So in some cases and in some ways, you can think of a vine relationship to the tree that it is growing on as one that is kind of parasitic. There's definitely not a benefit to the tree, whereas there's a definite benefit to the plant. Hey folks, thanks for watching this episode of Notes from the Field. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you get a chance to go out and enjoy the fall colors in places that are soon to become very dormant. And whenever you're out looking around, look up those little kind of moist canyons and see if you can find some of the 3 species that we looked at today. This is a perfect time to see them because they too are changing colors. I tell you what you could do for me. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, this would be a great time to do it. And if you really like our content and what we're doing here, you can go to our website, naturalhistoryinstitute.org, and donate money so that we can continue bringing you Notes from the Field. Thank you.